what's going on, guys? Brant here with CPC Bodybuilding, the home of men's classic physique. That's IFBB, as well as amateur, the NPC. So this weekend, we have the Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro in Estoril, Portugal. This is going to be Sunday, July 9th. You guys are going to want to tune in. It's 1:15 Portugal time, which is, I believe, sometime around 6 a.m. on East Coast time. If you're watching here in the States, there will be a live stream, and I'll be sure to put that in the description. And before we get started with this preview, I just want to say thank you to my supplement partner, Evogen Nutrition. If you guys are looking for some high quality, affordable supplements with great formula, and you want to support me and what I'm doing here at CPC Bodybuilding, you can use my code CPC for an additional 10% off. I'll also put that in the description of this video along with the live stream. So also, make sure you follow me on Instagram here. I'll have Instagram pulled up as we check out all of these guys and go through the lineup for the Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro. So without further ado, let's get into it, guys. So here you can see that we have the lineup card here for this weekend's classic physique show, the Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro. Like I said, it's the Sunday, July 9th in Estoril, Portugal, and prejudging and finals are in one show along with two women's pro divisions at 1:15 p.m. Portugal time. So this is our full lineup. I'll go through each of these, but I also want to highlight that we have a live stream, and you guys can buy this live stream here. Not sure how much it is. I haven't looked into it, but it's probably not that expensive. Most of these European shows are either 20 or 30 euros. So that is available, and I'll put that in the description. But here's the lineup card, guys. We'll go through. We've got about 20 guys here. So we've got Adam Boehmert from Poland, an Olympian last year. David Martinez from Spain, making his second appearance this year. Luca Corrado, who is making, I believe, his fifth or sixth appearance this year. He's done quite a bit of shows in the States as well as in Europe. Peter Duper, who is also a former Olympian back in the early days of classic physique. And then we have Cedric Durand, making his first appearance in a couple of years back on stage. Pedro Ferreira from Portugal. Lucas Guido from Germany, who is making his second appearance this year. Florian Hartledge, who has appeared at a couple of shows before this year and done pretty well. Antoine Loth, who is off to a really hot start this year. He's a guy to watch in this show out of Spain, a very new pro. Stéphane Matala from France is one of the most hyped guys in all of bodybuilding right now. This is going to be his first pro show, so you guys do not want to miss this one. Miguel Malamo out of Mozambique, Luis Garcia Martinez from Spain, Francisco Navarro, also of Spain, who got a top 5 at the M-Pro Classic a few weeks ago. Amaury Pate from France, making his second pro appearance. Breno Eleuterio out of Brazil, making his pro debut after turning pro earlier this year. Emmanuel Rigotti out of Italy, another Olympian from last year who won the Puerto Rico Pro back in 2022. And lastly, Jesus Fernandez Rivero out of Spain. So that is our entire classic physique lineup. Now I will go through each of these guys' Instagram pages or NPC News Online photos, and we'll check their physiques out. I'll give some comments. And then finally, I'll end with my top 5. So first up, we've got Adam Boehmert out of Poland. And he's coming off of a top 3 finish at Chiru, Italy. Now, Adam is one of those guys who has just great lines. I think that's probably his biggest strength. He's a bigger guy. Not necessarily what you think of in terms of a true classic physique. I think that his structure is a bit wider in terms of at the waist, and his lats kind of tie in high. But I mean, he looks great, and he won a pro show last year, the Romania Pro, to get to the Olympia. and he's very complete and very capable of winning this show, guys. And that is Adam Boehmert from Poland. Next up, we have David Martinez, who placed third at the M Pro Classic just a few weeks ago in what many would say has probably been the toughest lineup in Europe thus far this year. I would probably actually argue that Chiru, Italy was just a couple of weeks ago. But anyways, David Martinez just has great structure. I think that's his biggest calling card. When you look at this, his lines are just very etched in, very clean, very vascular. But I think the thing that sticks out to me the most is he's just extremely balanced and shapely. You'll notice how big his lats are compared to his waist. And he has just great arms, great quads. Everything is in pristine proportion. He's just very balanced, which is exactly what you want in men's classic physique, guys. So that is David Martinez out of Spain. Next up, we have Luca Corrado out of Italy. And now he's coming off of a 9th place finish at the Chiru Classic Italy. His best finish this year was at the Louisiana Optimum Classic Pro here in the United States, where he took 4th place. And Luca's calling card is any of his front shots and his condition. He always brings very polished condition. He's a solid poser. You can see the detail in the outer sweeps of his quads, as well as the teardrops, the feathering. And I mean, he's extremely vascular, guys. I love Luca's physique. And, you know, I think that he is, though relatively early on in his pro career, I think he's got a bright future in classic physique. Just a really cool guy, too. I had the chance to meet him when I was at the Pittsburgh Pro this year. So Luca is, you know, he's just a sharp bodybuilder, very, very dependable, solid pro. And I think he'll do relatively well. He could be top 10 in this lineup. So that is Luca Corrado. Next up, we have Peter Duper, who was once an Olympian and has kind of had a year or two of a downward trend. I mean, if you look at his physique, this is from the Prague Pro last year where he placed 4th, but since he's kind of slipped a bit, he finished in last place at the Chiru, Italy last week. And really, I think the issue that he's run into is his condition just hasn't been as sharp recently. And I really like Peter's physique because, again, he has what you want in classic in terms of balance. He has the very good structure, as you can see in this photo. His front shots are very crisp. I think from the back, he might be able to come up a bit more. But Peter is also another very solid classic pro. Next up, we have Cedric Durand, and he last appeared at the 2021 European Pro. Did not place at that show, but I really like his physique from the perspective of just how clean his lines are, as well as I look at his arms. I think he's got fantastic arms. You can see here at the European Pro that this condition is probably about 6 to 7 weeks out, really. So I think if he dials in the condition, he could place higher than previous shows like this one. But in this deep of a lineup, he's really going to have to bring it. And European guys are known for their condition. The level of condition over in some of these shows is another level, and sometimes even edges out some of these American shows. So he really needs to be sharp in order to move up in placing in the show. But I think he has the capability to do it. He looks great. So that is Cedric Durand. Next up, we have Pedro Ferreira, who is a Portuguese guy. I think the lone Portuguese guy in this lineup. He appeared in this show last year, actually. You'll see right here. This is his free posing routine. And he placed 14th at this show last year. I also believe that he turned pro in the Amateur Olympia Portugal last year. So a relatively new pro. And what you'll see here as he gets ready to step forward is I think he's got great detail, especially in those quads. Look at those quads, just very, very pristine, very dialed in, very crisp. And I think he's got great legs. He just might get a bit outsized by a lot of people in this lineup. He does look like he's a smaller guy, but looks fantastic. That's Pedro Ferreira. Next up, we've got Lucas Alexander Guido out of Germany. A shorter guy, but as you can see here, packs on a ton of muscle, very dense guy, huge quads, and he placed sixth at the M Pro Classic Spain, the only non-Spaniard in that first call out, which says quite a bit to be able to get through the very favorable Spanish judging as a German. But here, looking at his posing routine, I mean, he looks very, very polished, especially for a newer pro. I believe he turned pro just last year. So I think he has a good shot here at top 5 even. And other people may dispute that, but I think really he's on kind of that, on the verge of first call out, in my opinion. Next up, we've got Florian Hartlich, also out of Germany. He started out this year pretty strong, a couple of first call out finishes at Chiru, Italy, as well as the Poland Pro. And what you're going to notice about him is he's just got insane detail. He's got that grainy, dense type of muscle. Like you can tell that he trains with crazy intensity, the fullness through the glutes, the hamstrings, his back, the entire posterior chain is very impressive. Looking here at this shot, that's just incredible to me. The only issue I think that he runs into is he is not the most classic when it comes to structure, but he is extremely muscular and conditioned, which carries him very far. And that's Florian Hartlich. I think without a doubt, he'll be top 10. He could even be first call out in the show. Next up, we've got Antoine Loth, who has set the European classic physique scene on fire thus far, with 3 top 5 finishes in his first 3 pro shows. He turned pro in bodybuilding this year and has since placed in the top 5 at Poland and took top 2 at even tougher shows at the M Pro Classic in Spain, where he battled it out in a 2-man call out with Herman Pastor, who has won 2 shows this year. And then Antoine also was able to be down to the last 2 with Laszlo Karali, who probably has some of the best structure in the entire division. And what really separates Antoine from a lot of people is not only his size, but his detail and condition. He definitely is not the most classic, knowing that he turned pro in bodybuilding and his time in classic is limited. He's admitted that, but he can hang with a lot of these classic guys, even despite all of that, because he's just so big and so dominant and wide. So that is Antoine Loth. I think without a doubt, he is top 3 in this show. So next up, we have probably the most hyped guy in all of classic physique outside of the household names like Ramon Dino, Chris Bumstead, Urs. This guy has been receiving all kinds of PR and press this year. This is Stefan Matala out of France, and he is just insane. Like the fullness, the granite hardness, the roundness of the muscle bellies, the vascularity. I mean, he's got it all. The biggest question is, what's he going to look like on stage? There are a lot of guys who look great on Instagram, but don't look good on stage. I think he looks good enough on Instagram to look good on stage, just because, you know, when you look at enough physiques, you know what's going to translate to stage and what's not. And he's been in condition for a long, long time. This guy's been show ready for probably about 10 to 12 weeks now. And my concern is him making weight. If he can make weight, I think he wins the show. No doubt about it. I think he's that good. But the problem is he was stage ready at about 8 kilograms above the weight limit. And for those of you guys who are not as familiar with kilograms, 8 kilograms is roughly 18 pounds, I believe. So that's quite a bit above the weight cap and trying to come down. So, I mean, I love Stefan Matala's physique. I just think he just needs to translate it to the stage. So let's see. He's got to make that weight, guys. Next up, we've got Miguel Malamo out of Mozambique making his pro debut. So he turned pro at this past year's Amateur Olympia in Las Vegas in the middleweight bodybuilding division. And what you can see here is even as a middleweight, he has the classic structure. He's got the great clean lines and the balance and the flow. I think really what it's going to come down to is he big enough yet? And you can see that he's got great detail in his muscle. But as a middleweight bodybuilder, you're probably going to be a bit shorter. And he does look like he's a shorter guy, probably about 5'6", I have to imagine. Standing, yeah, this is him with Stefan, who is, I believe, 5'9". So Miguel's probably somewhere around 5'5", 5'6", but fantastic physique. I really like that back shot for him. He's got a great detailed back. You can see everything, the teres, the lats, the rhomboids, the traps, the erectors. I mean, it's all there. So that is Miguel Malamo out of Mozambique. Next up, we've got Luis Garcia Martinez, who took last place at the Sharu, India. Now, there are not very many shots of him here, so I'm not going off a whole lot. But to me, he looks just soft, needs better condition, and he's had time to do it, so he could improve upon his Sharu India placing. But, I mean, to me, this looks like he either spilled really badly or he's like 12 weeks out of a show. So hopefully he got the condition under control. But that is Luis Garcia Martinez. Next up, we've got Francisco Navarro, who placed top 5 at the Empro Classic. Just nasty, nasty condition. Granite hardness, as you can see, through the chest, the abdominals. And I really like he's just got so much density. Like those hamstrings. I think some higher trunks would actually do him some justice because I'm sure his glutes are striated given how much detail you can see in the calves and the hamstrings in the back. But I think this guy is going to be in the conversation for first call out. Probably not the most classic in terms of structure, which typically you're looking for wide sweeping lats, a small waist, wide clavicles, and he doesn't really have that. He looks more like a 212 guy in my opinion, but he could do well on the show, guys. So that is Francisco Navarro out of Spain. Next up, we've got Amaury Pate making his second pro appearance out of France. And he's one of those guys who he has a great look, great detail. But to me, I think he still needs more time to build size. And, I think he looks very sharp. He's got the classic lines and his posing is better than a few guys in this lineup, but to me, he needs some time to build some size, especially in the arms, in the legs, and probably also the chest. So that is Amaury Pate out of France. Next up, we've got Breno Eleuterio out of Brazil. So he's making his pro debut. He won the muscle contest Brazil Nacional this year. And I love his structure. Dude's got incredible structure, very bubbly 3D type of look, which is impressive. His physique almost reminds me of like Neil Curry with the very wide lats, the bubbly quads, the tiny waist, the huge delts. But what I will say is he really needs to bring up the posing. And I know he's a new pro. He's got time to do it. But I just don't think he's going to go very far in this show without improving his posing. As you can see, posing is very shaky. It looks very robotic and just looks like it needs to be practiced more. But great structure. I think he's going to be a great classic pro. So that is Breno Eleuterio. Next up, we've got Emanuele Rigotti out of Italy. And like I had mentioned, He's an Olympian. He won the Puerto Rico Pro last year. He came in third at the muscle contest Ireland. He also came in third at the Poland Pro, but has since slipped a little bit. You can see here, this was at the M Pro Classic. He wasn't terrible at that show, I don't think. Just a bit watery. He had an injury that led to some stress, and he suggests that it made this look a little bit worse here at M Pro, so he didn't place very well there. Then he took 8th at Charroux, Italy in his home country last week, despite great condition. He's got fantastic structure. It was a deep lineup, but I don't think this physique is necessarily worthy of a second call out. I think that's a top 5 physique, especially at Charroux, Italy, in my opinion, as far as I understand the classic criteria, but that's just me. And I'm wondering if the European judging is favoring more muscular physiques. That could be what's going on here, because he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he does have great shape. And I think he'll be first call out in this show. So that is Emmanuel Rigotti. And lastly, we have Jesus Fernandez Rivero, who last appeared at the 2021 Big Man Pro in the 212 division, and he placed 11th there. To me, I think he just needs better conditioned. It's really hard to tell, honestly, what his strengths are without, great condition. To me, this condition's like 8 to 9 weeks out. I think he's got a good physique, especially in the quads, but to me, he needs more arms, delts, even hamstrings from the side. I think you got to bring better condition, especially at the pro level. But that is Jesus Fernandez Rivero. That is our entire classic physique lineup. So I'm going to pick my top 5. So starting out in 5th place, I have Adam Boehmert, and he is out of Poland. I really like Adam's physique in the sense that he doesn't really have any weak points. So here's Adam right here. Let's see. Yeah, so he did well in previous shows this year. And I mean, looking at this photo with Laszlo Corrali and Edwin Underwood, he's got, a lot of muscularity, but what it comes down to is shape. And I think the guys who edge him out here are going to edge him out either by being bigger and more shapely, or just more shapely and probably a bit more conditioned. But Adam Boehmert's fantastic. He has the capability even with this show. So I have him in 5th place. And in 4th place, I have Emmanuel Rigotti out of Italy. I think his shape is going to carry him very far in his condition. I think the judges are going to give him a look at this show that he might not have gotten at the last show. And I just think he has that classic look. So hopefully those judges in Portugal open their eyes and give him a good placing if he brings a look like this. So that is Emmanuel Rigotti, my 4th place finisher. In 3rd place, I have David Martinez out of Spain. He took 3rd at M Pro, and I think his structure is just incredible. He's a tall guy, lots of width, great, crisp, clean lines, very classic. So I've got David Martinez in 3rd place. And in 2nd place, I have Antoine Loth out of Spain. I think he's going to be the most conditioned guy in this show. He's just got that granite hardness, the fullness, and I mean, he's just huge. He's a big guy. I really think he could win a show this year. I think he's that good. But what he's going to run into is the guy who I have winning this show is just more classic, and he's got every bit of size with better structure and probably even better condition. And my pick to win, I'm going with the hype, guys. I've got Mr. Unchained, Stefan Matala. I think Instagram's actually going to translate to the stage. This is his pro debut as far as I know. I haven't seen any pro shows previously, but I mean, this guy is just insane. Like, he does not have any weak points whatsoever. He has the detail, the structure, the condition, the fullness, the round muscle belly. He's got everything, guys. So Stefan Matala is my pick to win this weekend's Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro. So that is going to do it for today's preview. Again, I've got Stefan Matala winning the show. Make sure you guys tune in to this show this weekend. I'll have the live stream linked in the description. And I want to thank you all for watching another preview from CPC Bodybuilding, the home of classic physique. Make sure y'all keep it classic. See ya.